Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra. How is your Monday going so far? How was the weekend? We are talking about flying. Have you guys flown recently? What was the experience like? What was the airport like? Last Thursday, there was a Delta flight from Detroit to Atlanta, and they had just kind of taxied from the gate when two people on board refused to put on their masks. And boy, Delta has been cracking down seriously in the last couple of weeks on mask wearing. And so, boop, they turned that bus right around, went back to the gate, and kicked those two folks off. So now in this USA Today article, it says that Delta has a list of 100 passengers so far who are now banned from flying the friendly skies.
And banned for life.
Yeah.
Delta's not playing.
Business, right? They are not playing. 100 people not allowed to come back because they refused to wear a mask.
And I imagine these two started with masks. I mean, they wouldn't have been able to get on the plane without them, right? But the idea was you have to keep them on. And they were, as it says here, not complying with crew instructions. After the short delay, the aircraft did manage to depart to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I'm the captain of that plane. I'm like, we're not even taxing out.
Brenda's the captain now.
You're right.
I'm the captain.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that? Let us know. We love this, live chat aspect of Sunrise Extra because we're watching your comments on Facebook. I've got you guys pulled up here on Twitter and YouTube. Drew watches, hopefully, the text for us. He's got it. He's got it. So let us know. Have you guys flown? What was the experience like?
Is Rod, are you the only one of the four of us who has actually been on a plane of late? You went home to Missouri.
A month ago, right?
We went home in June. Yeah, it was in June, third week of June, back to see my parents, and flew Southwest. Mm-hmm. And I would give Southwest Airlines an A+. Mm-hmm. I really would. The plane was nice and clean, and of course you have to have your mask with you, and you are able to take it down if you're going to have a snack or take a sip of some water or Coke or what have you. But didn't notice any problems. Saw complete compliance in PDX as well, with people having their mask on. Really, if there was a drawback, well, number one, no lines to speak of going through security, so that's a big thumbs up.
That's
the only
awesome.
Thumbs down was the fact that, a lot of the food eateries and places that, quite frankly, the airport's just not busy enough to support those businesses right now. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the businesses were not open inside the terminals. Now, I would say that was the only negative. I mean, I'm assuming we're all getting used to wearing our masks now. So anyway, what amazes me real quick is you must not really have a strong, overwhelming desire to get where you're going because you're willing not to get where you were going to go to for your mask.
Right.
I mean, what a bunch of nonsense.
Right.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, save that money. Why would you I wonder if they give them a refund,
I would hope not.
That's on you.
That's on you. You know the rules before you get on there. People are weighing in on the stream. We'll start with Julie Wyatt. She says, I won't fly until there's an effective treatment or vaccine. I know masks help reduce the spread, but they aren't foolproof. There's nowhere I need to go bad enough right now. So she's staying on the ground.
And I think the mask movement in general has really stepped up in terms of people having to wear masks in more places, more businesses, more organizations enforcing the mask mandates, even from Delta's website. And we talked about, there are some people who are not able to wear the mask for some medical reason. But they're even saying this, Delta. This is right off the website. Customers with health conditions or disabilities that explicitly prevent the wearing of a face covering or mask are strongly encouraged to reconsider travel. Or should be prepared to complete a clearance to fly process prior to departure at the airport. And it's like, we understand your needs, but we're thinking if you can't wear a mask, maybe you should reconsider flying.
And that's what all doctors and health experts have said. Like, if you have a condition, and it's normally like, serious lung problems or things like that, you should not be out and about at all then. In amongst these people. I'm checking on YouTube, and a very cool name of Silver Fox, or I'm not Silver Fox, Silver Wolf, said he flew, I assume it's a guy, he flew in the days before that particular airline required them, so he flew without a mask. Most people actually didn't wear one. He flew from Kansas City to Texas. there were more people without masks than there were with them. But bear in mind, this was the days before the airlines required them, so it was a little while ago.
We have quite a few people chiming in already this morning on the Facebook live stream. Good morning to everyone joining us. It's a Monday. I'm glad to see you guys are already starting your week, and you're starting it with us. I know I had a hard time getting up and going, but let's talk about, I just had it here. Oh, Kelly. Hello, Kelly. Kelly says, I'm supposed to fly back east soon, very nervous, so I'm glad to hear that Southwest was doing well. At least they were doing well when Rod flew through Southwest. And then one more, Terry Knotz, N-O-T-Z, good morning, Terry, says, Terry has flown, everyone wearing their masks. It is reported here. It was strange, but compliance, according to Terry, was great.
Good.
Yeah, and then Connie says, selfish people, good for Delta. And Katie says, in all caps, stop refusing to wear masks. I have not flown during this, been working, so.
And we wanted this news story as sort of a jumping off point, but I thought even, bigger picture, because I'm sure a lot of our viewers have not flown. If our little panel is any indication, 75% of your Sunrise hosts have not flown since the pandemic began. So, what is your experience in everyday life, on the streets, in neighborhoods, parks, at the store? Street views, Rod Hill, because I have definitely seen, we talked back in April about, maybe 30% of the people wearing masks in stores. And then we saw the number grow. And now it is pretty much everyone. I don't recall the last time I saw someone not wearing a mask in a store. But I will tell you, Nina, Brenda, Rodney, we're still playing some baseball. And this weekend, the boys had 6 games. And the requirement now, for one, parents can't even come to the games. Each team is allowed to have 5 adults there to keep the numbers of people down. The kids have to wear the masks throughout the course of the game, when they're batting, when they're in the field, when they're running bases. The only exception, if you're playing in the outfield, you're allowed to keep masks off. But, I noticed this weekend, once in a while, there'd be someone without a mask. So in the middle of this game we're playing, I hear one of the tournament directors off to the side saying, "Hey, mask, mask." And I turn around and look, and the second baseman on this other team not wearing their mask. And our kids
not wearing it at all, or
he had it down. Pulled it down. And our kids don't enjoy wearing them, right? It's hard to play a game in 85-degree weather with a mask on, but they're doing it. And so I saw that, and then I hear the guy on the other coach say to this tournament director, "Tell the umpire that." And I look around, I see the umpire behind me on first base is also not wearing his mask. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. First of all, the kid should be wearing his mask. The answer to him not wearing the mask is not, hey, the umpire's not wearing one.
Right.
The answer is tell your kid to put his mask on and we'll deal with the umpire. So I go, time out! And they're like, oh, here comes the crazy coach at first base. Time out! And the home plate umpire's like, what? I'm like, second baseman needs to wear a mask. Sir, you got to wear a mask too. And the umpire at first base is like, huh? Mask up, game resumes. And
good for you. He's the model
way.
For the kids. So,
absolutely.
We won, by the way. Our mask-wearing team won that game. But you still see it. Sometimes you'll see people wearing it down by their chin still. And I'm like, you took it that far. Bring it all the way up.
Right. And I was in the grocery store the other day, and I was at Winco, and I was coming down the aisle because they don't have, their aisles are pretty wide, but they don't have those like one way. And a man was coming toward me, and he didn't have a mask on, and I was like, oh. In here, I was so judgmental. And then I thought, well, maybe he does have a medical condition where he's, on the exempt list. But my first reaction was horror. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, especially inside a store. It's just weird now. You notice it more when someone's not wearing
And I
a
also
mask.
thought it was interesting, Dr. Deborah Birx, who works with the Trump administration, talking about the headline of we've reached kind of a new level of this pandemic, and people should actually, according to her, start wearing masks inside their own home if they live with somebody who is either at risk health-wise, has an underlying condition, or elderly. And I thought, wow, things are changing.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm smiling because I'm trying to read some of the comments while listening to you, Brenda, Nina, and Rod. Number one comment I'll share comes from Jeff Lucas, popular contributor to the Sunrise Extra program. I flew Alaska Air back in June. Jeff says they were very serious about masks on the plane. The flight attendants, of course, fear for their own health as well. Brennan says, I flew out of Montana to another Air Force base in Ohio a week ago. I will be flying again to a location I cannot disclose. Then he says, I had a little fun with it. I wore an all-black suit, my black cowboy hat, and a plague doctor's mask from Montana all the way to Ohio.
A what?
A plague.
Like it says plague on it?
And a plague doctor's mask from Montana all the way to
Or that's a
Ohio.
style.
If I have to wear a mask, I might as well have fun with it. We need more
What does
clarification
that
on this,
mean?
Brennan. What does that
Is
mean?
that a style?
A plague doctor's mask.
Googling.
Googling?
Googling.
While you Google, I can continue to read. Casey Bond says, I flew back in May. Good morning,
Oh,
Casey,
it's
by
like
way.
the bird. It's the old school, like a crow mask.
Full face coverage with an
Like the
extension.
long nose.
Okay.
That's
The
a
plague
look, my
doctor.
friend. That is a look.
Like
That's-
not a doctor during the plague, but it's called plague doctor. And it's like the black bird mask with the crow beak. That is
That's,
freaky.
that's your idea of fun?
Oh
Brendan
my
Hankins?
gosh, that would scare the CRAP out of me. Honestly.
Viewer Brennan has a weird idea for fun, I would say. Real quick, because I started to share this one, Casey Bond, good morning, Casey, says, I flew in May and I felt pretty safe because the airport was empty and my flight only had 27 people on it, but my return flight in July, so I guess Casey was gone for 2 months. Anyways, my return flight in July had so many more people on it and the airport was so busy, I will not fly again anytime soon unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, because Rod, I want to ask you this question because you know, a lot of planes aren't. There's just not enough people to fill all their usual routes, and so they only have a couple, you know, flights going out of a tiny fraction of what would normally be going out, and so they're packed. To make it, you know, economically feasible for the airlines. Was your flight like every seat full?
Well, no, let's keep in mind, now speaking for Southwest, I think this is the rule for all airlines, but I don't know that for sure. So speaking for what I saw in Southwest, is that they did not book the middle seats. The only time you could fill up the entire row is if your immediate family that you were traveling with
Was sitting next
So if you take out the middle seats, now that's basically a third of the seats are gone. So with that said, I think the airlines in the past month plus have increasingly gotten a handle on how many planes they can fly that would at least be filled to that allowed capacity, which is any business, you know, that's what they're going to do. So I'm assuming that many flights are more busy now with that middle seat open, if you will, than they were, you know, say back in May.
More people
But,
weighing in online. Chelsea says, haven't flown since all this started yet, but probably will around Christmas time to see family. I bet a lot of people are feeling that if they have out-of-state folks that they want to go visit.
There's now a conversation happening amongst our viewers. I love it when that happens. Kind of a second conversation amongst themselves because Brendan talked about his the plague doctor's mask. And then he confirms, yes, he was wearing one of those that he describes it as the weird
That is terrifying.
black beak-shaped masks. And then Chewy Johnson says, hey, yo, Brennan, you got to share a pic.
That's
if
what
you
it
have
looks
one.
like, you guys. Can you imagine seeing someone on a
No.
plane wearing this?
Oh, my God.
I feel like, oh my God.
But then
Yeah.
Chewy was surprised that we didn't know what one was. Chewy says, I can't believe the host didn't know what this was.
Google, man. Now we know.
I didn't know that was the term.
Plague doctor.
Oh, look, and Lori Pettinger has a story about her mask. Sometimes my mask, she says, makes me feel like I'm going to throw up. So I give my nose a breather. A lady in the home goods store told me that masks go over your nose, which they are supposed to. She says, I was shamed into putting it back over my nose. That was a first for me. People are definitely taking this more seriously now.
I know what she's talking about, though, because you get overheated. It's the breathing your own air, and it gets all moist and gross in there. And it, like, kind of makes me like a yucky tummy while I'm in the store. Like, if it's super, you know.
Rodney, this is kind of
Too
for
hot.
you as well as for everybody else, but we went to Douglas Farm on Sauvie Island where you did Rod on the Road on Friday, and we went to pick peaches because the stuff that you showed us looked so good. We're like, we're going to go do it. And we were outside, but everybody had to wear their mask there, and my daughter wears glasses, and we were outside in the rows, and she had her little, you know, mask down a little bit because her glasses were fogging up. She goes, I can't see the berries to pick them and the whatever. And I said, your mask is supposed to be up. I was like, all of a sudden I became the mask police, and we were outside. It was just so weird. I'm like, you can't put it below your nose.
It happened again. You said mask
I've had
police.
my glasses fog up too.
You said mask police. Honestly, in that same baseball situation, Brenda, I wasn't going to tell two stories, but since you said mask police, later on, there's a kid at the plate from another team not wearing the mask. Again, this is a pain in the neck for the kids because they hate batting with the mask, but they do it. You have to do it. The kid's not wearing the mask. So one of our coaches is like, mask. No one says anything. Hey, up, mask. No one says anything. So I'm the loud one, right? Yo, blue. That's how you get the umpire's attention. He looks over. I said, kid needs to wear his mask at the plate. He like gives me like one of those, like, oh, right. And he goes, he goes, put the mask on. Hey, I said, I shouldn't be the one having to police this every time. He goes, settle down in there. But the kid put his mask on. And I did feel like, hey, I'm not trying to be the bad guy. The team thinks that you're trying to like have some sort of advantage. I'm like, no, it's just that our kids want to know why do they get to do it without a mask.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yes.
I want this to be over.
Oh, one more name.
Go ahead.
Mindy Wolf. I don't know how to say this last name correctly. I want to believe.
She'll know.
But I want to believe it's Laframboise.
Ooh,
I
sounds
mean, it's got a crazy spelling, but it could be Laframboise.
That's what I would say.
Mindy Wolf, good morning to you. She says, I flew 2 weeks ago. This is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Flew 2 weeks ago. Every flight, there was an announcement, she says, by Alaska that due to how full it was, they would have to seat some people directly next to other people who were not in their party. Then when we boarded, she says, because of weight, they needed to shift some people from the back to the front, and even first class was completely shoulder to shoulder. I thought that was being avoided. I thought people were not, like, especially that middle aisle was
I think it's policy on some airlines. I was just looking up Jeff Merkley, Senator Jeff Merkley. This has been a month ago now, July 2nd, but he posted a pic on American Airlines, and it was shoulder to shoulder. Every seat was full.
Oh, I would not be happy about that.
Yeah. That's, you know, I mean, people are going to
Well, I'm
snack and they're going
surprised
to eat and they're going to take their mask off.
We were supposed to be spending Thanksgiving in Arizona, but that plan went way out the window a long time ago. I'm like, the one time we're always in Portland for Christmas because we usually host. But we were thinking, hey, we'll do something different this year. No.
Ova.
Yeah, Ova.
Bummer.
And there are so many comments
you
flying in
guys.
this morning. Was that it?
Well, I don't
Wrapping
know.
up?
Is there a couple? I'm not looking at Facebook.
There's
so
not a couple. There's many.
Oh, good. Okay.
There's many. Where do I start? Probably right here in front of me. Sharon Cole Humphrey, good morning to you. Your comment would not have been heard this morning if Nina had her way.
I can't see it.
The show would have ended already.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
Instigator.
Okay. Sharon Cole Humphrey says, I flew to London back in May. The flights we had were very empty. The airports were very empty. Sherry, meanwhile, right below that comment, as I mentioned, the comments are flowing this morning. Sherry says, we have to use our tickets by May, but we will wait. We had to cancel a wedding. We don't mind canceling a flight.
Michelle says, I have had to fly. Southwest is the only way to do it. They are sticking with that middle seat being open. They do not overbook.
That's good policy.
I would think so.
Because they're
Yeah,
crowded
but I'm surprised
already.
that's not aviation policy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I am
right?
too.
That's surprising to me. That's not the policy, but apparently it's not. So good for Southwest. Yeah.
Mindy Wolf back on board. I believe your last name, Mindy, is pronounced Laframboise. Could you give me a phonetic spelling of your last name, Laframboise,
Don't bother.
if possible? Meanwhile, she continues to comment. She says, maybe you should fly midweek, maybe fly in the evening. She found that was less busy than during their first flight, which was during the day. She says also Friday during the day was pretty light in terms of traffic.
You know what I was thinking? It was just like now that, you know, we know schools are going to be online only, at least in Oregon, and it sounds like most of Washington too for a while, at least until November when they kind of reevaluate. But then, you know, if you're able to work from home or work from anywhere with an internet connection, like, you know, there's just going to be a lot of people that I think are going to be taking like extended trips or, you know, extended rentals or RV trips or something like that because now everything's literally online. And I just wonder like what that is going to do if more people would take a trip than more families.
I feel like we're still
stay
having
there.
a life, right? I mean, the summer has brought some opportunities to get outdoors. You know, you can still social distance and still do a lot of fun activities. But I wonder what's going to happen again as we get back into fall and winter time. If things are still where they are now, obviously, with people not with people not able to go back to school or go back to work. So I do think, like, man, this is really going to take another kind of turn. I hate to use the word like depressing, but you know what I mean? Like not being able to get out and do some of the things we're doing now in the summertime, even with restaurants, where restaurants now are kind of opening back up because they can feed you outdoors, but that's not going to work once we get into that rainy season again. It's like the seasons of COVID. We experienced spring, sort of survived that, got to summer and thought, hey, we can breathe a little bit. Actually, we better calm down because things seem to be ramping up. What's the next season going to bring for this COVID-19?
Yeah, I think summer is like the only thing that's kind of bringing people's spirits up is weather.
But maybe
being able
too
to
up.
be outside.
Maybe the spirits have gotten too high.
Maybe, yeah.
But enjoy it while it's here,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I mean, just really take full advantage of whatever you can do safely. Soak it in, store it up, let it fill you, and then when you're stuck inside with your family, you'll be like, yeah, let's.
And then what, Brenda?
Well, then you get out your phone and you look back on all those good pictures. That's what I did today, actually,
Oh,
on my
really?
Facebook post. I was like, what was I doing on August 3rd, 2019?
Last year?
Oh,
I
wow.
was at Lopez Island in the San Juans.
Ah, no
before
way,
I
a year
even
ago?
knew what COVID-19 was. It wasn't a pandemic. It was a simpler time. And it kind of really did. It was like, oh, that was such a good memory, right?
Good. All right.
We will have those memories again someday, Brenda.
Yes, we will. We'll
That's
get
not a
through it.
promise. That's just a wishful thought.
No, it's not. It's going to happen. This too shall pass. It's not going to be pretty, but at some point it will be over.
All right.
All right, Drew. Okay, there's the hook, the music.
Oh, you think I'm in charge of
It's
the
not
music?
my fault. It's Director Brian. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for weighing in on Sunrise Extra. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.